Hello, everyone, and welcome to this slightly late starting rally of Amazon workers standing against Jeff Bezos. I'm Corey Kreider from Foxglove, the legal nonprofit that exists to make tech fair and sue when it isn't. And we're sorry for the late stop, but although we are a little bit late, we are all going together and we're very excited. Folks, it's the year 2022, and while Jeff Bezos is shooting into space on a penis-shaped rocket, the workers who made him his billions are fighting back. Every day in Amazon warehouses from Staten Island to Hamburg to Coventry to the Inland Empire, workers and drivers just like you are busting their backsides to get people their stuff. In the pandemic, you risked your lives and you made Jeff Bezos, for a time, the world's richest man. So how does he thank you? We all know, by buying up more spaceships and super yachts. But people are fed up with not being able to make their bills or heat their homes. They're tired of hidden algorithmic targets and rules like time off tasks that squeeze them like a sponge. And today, we've come together to say, these people deserve better, and together we can beat Jeff Bezos and make him pay up and treat people right. As I said, I'm Corey from Foxglove, and we are so excited to be hosting this rally with Britain's GMB union, who are fighting on the front lines to organize Amazon warehouses in the UK and others from the Amazon labor union in the US. Now, this is a rally, so if you're tuning in at home, feel free to put on your favorite stadium music. I like Queen. Maybe do a little wave because we have an incredible lineup of guests today. These are folks taking on one of the world's biggest corporate bullies, and they're winning. First, we're going to hear from Derek Palmer. Derek is the vice president of the Amazon Labor Union, who sent shockwaves around the world this spring by beating Amazon to form the first labor union in an American warehouse. Then we'll hear from two other workers on the front lines. First, we're going to hear from a British Amazon warehouse worker. He's going by the name of George today. And then we'll hear from an organizer supporting them, Rachel Fagan from our partner, the GMB Union, who'll share the latest from their historic strike ballot in the Coventry warehouse. Then we'll hear from a lawmaker who's always had workers' backs, Coventry MP Taiwo Owusu, and we're going to hear from Rex, a worker at the warehouse in the Inland Empire in California, who just earlier today announced that they're going to do a strike action. And finally, we've got a very special message from Senator Bernie Sanders of solidarity for all of you and all workers standing against corporate greed and abuse. Now, we've only got an hour and we began a bit late and we won't leave time for you to ask questions, so I'm going to move through this group at a feral clip. If you, dialing in, have a question, click the Ask a Question box at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and do it anytime during the presentations. You don't need to wait till the end. Just when you think of it, go ahead and click and ask. They'll all go through to us and we'll ask as many as we have time for at the end. I'll then wrap up with a few demands and how you can get in touch with us. Now, without further ado, over to you, Derek. Please tell you how you did it. People here are so keen to hear your story and what it takes to win. I know Amazon union busts absolutely everywhere. So what happened?
Myself and Chris Smalls, we formed the Amazon Labor Union in April 20th of 2021. We literally started off with 2 tables, 2 tents, and some chairs, and we set up shop outside of the on the bus stop at JFK in Staten Island, New York. We started by getting authorization cards signed for the workers at JFK 8. And also the other surrounding warehouses in that area. I'm still an active employee. At that time, I had to make it my duty to really go hard with getting these authorization cards signed. Clearly, we know we have an uphill battle. We had employed with over 8,000 workers at JFK 8, Staten Island alone. So we know we had to get at least 30% of those workers to sign these authorization cards, which wasn't easy at all. Once we started getting these cards signed, the first day we got about 30 cards signed. And then, we just kept going. I would come in on my days off. I would set up, me, Chris, and the rest of us, we would set up outside at the tent. And then on my days I was working, I would get these authorization cards signed inside the facility on my 30, I would sacrifice one of my 30-minute breaks to do this. So this definitely was, it wasn't easy at all, for sure. So 2 weeks after that, Amazon started to catch notice of us getting these cards signed. They started union busting heavy. They started sending out text messages not to trust the ALU. We're a third party. We've never negotiated a contract. We don't know what we're doing. They sent these text messages out. They also sent out emails to the workers with the same literature, and also they would post messages in the break room areas, and they would have them in the bathroom stalls. So they were very serious about union busting, and they knew that we were going to gain some traction, which we did. The union busting worked momentarily, but we kept prevailing. We held barbecues. We passed out our ALU shirts, which is the one I have on right now. We engaged with a lot of important dialogue about unions and the importance of having them, and we were able to to counteract their messaging. Because they're saying that we're third party, but we're active employees, former and current employees. So that grassroots effort is played a key part into our victory. We kept pushing on because we knew that Amazon wasn't going to stop, and that's what they did. They kept going, and we kept going at the same time. So having the presence inside was really key, because without that, Amazon's union busting tactics would have worked. So we're on the outside looking in approach, that wouldn't have worked at all. So we knew we had to do something unorthodox, something unheard of, in order to beat a giant company like Amazon. So these captive audience meetings that they held were very critical as well. They held these meetings to ultimately discourage workers from joining unions or just spreading misinformation about unions. Now, traditionally, these methods work to keep unions out, but when you have the workers inside counteracting everything they're saying, like myself, I pretty much every captive audience meeting that I was in, I used my voice to destroy all the anti-union, energy that they were trying to bring into the room. And by the end of those meetings, workers were coming to me saying, I want to sign. I'm ready to get my vote. And, that played key. Having a workers committee in the inside was key. Staying consistent, engaging with them on a consistent basis was key. And the fact that I'm a 7-year veteran and I know the ins and outs and I know the policies very well, as well as my other comrades in the ALU. So collectively, we made a lot of noise, and we stuck together through thick and thin, and ultimately, that's how we were able to defeat them. So we filed in December of 2021. We had enough authorization cards to have an election. We had over 2,000 cards signed by workers, and then in April 1st of 2022, we became the first union in American history for Amazon.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Derek. That was fantastic to hear. Now we're going to leap back across the Atlantic to a bit over to the United Kingdom again, where George, not his real name, is going to share for us his experience from the inside of an Amazon warehouse in the UK, from where I'm sitting. Now, after that, just to explain this kind of funny orange sticker, after the August walkouts, which happened earlier, and we'll hear from George, I think, a bit more about that, but thousands of workers around this country walked out in protest at pay and working conditions. Amazon have, we are told multiple times, been intimidating people. So George is not his real name, but he's come forward, and we're so happy he's speaking to us anyway. So George, please tell us, what's it feeling like to organize in the middle of a cost of living crisis, which is what we're having here in the UK? And how's it going in the warehouse?
Yeah, firstly, can I just say, going directly after Derek Palmer is an honour. It's amazing to think that 8 weeks ago we were just nothing, and now here I am sharing a stage with him. Yes, since August, since we were initially told we're getting 50 pence, it's just snowballed. There were sit-down protests in the canteens up and down the country. People sharing videos on TikTok, letting us know what was going on. Obviously, the first day we were confronted by senior management that wanted to negotiate with us, and we did point out that if you negotiate with an elected body of people, surely that is a union, and you don't recognise unions. So we refused to go upstairs and speak to them. And after about an hour or so, they started clocking people out. But I was actually amazed. I mean, some people, don't get me wrong, did go back to work because they've got families to feed. But the amount of people that actually stayed there, it was just emboldening. It was like, you know what, we're going to stay here longer. Obviously, then the management come down again and said that because obviously they'd seen the TikTok videos going around, and they said that obviously anyone videoed inside the FC, instant dismissal. So we decided to go meet in the town centre the next day. We didn't know what we were doing. We hadn't got a clue. We just wanted to scream and shout and let everyone know that that it wasn't right. And luckily, that's where we bumped into the GMB. To be fair, they had been tipped off, and they were there waiting for us. And we haven't looked back. Going back to the union busting stuff, yeah, we've had all that. We've had briefings at start of shift that say how bad the union are, and that basically now inside the Amazon I work for, any talk of unions, unless it's negative, is classed as hate speech. So you're not even allowed to discuss a union inside the FC. Yeah, they've done everything. We've had the notices on notice boards. They've stopped electing people to the staff forum now. They're just put in that position. We've had people that were 100% with us are now on the lead pool, moving up the ladder, so they don't want to cause waves anymore. But to think that I used to, and I do apologise to Rachel, I used to ignore the GMB when I used to leave work because I couldn't afford to join a union. But now it's necessity. It's necessity, and anyone that's working in Amazon in the UK, you need to get on that bandwagon because 50 pence is not enough, nowhere near enough. I've had my struggles in the past, and you go through that stage, and I know most of you are there now. That you're scared to open the door when the door gets knocked. You don't open your letters, and I'm back there, and I've gone from back there within 12 months. I used to look at my wage packet and think how much. I used to look at my wage packet every month and think how much can I put to one side. Now I look at my wage packet every day and think about which bills I'm not going to pay that week. I shouldn't have to come home after work and wear a jumper in the house and be told by the government, well, you're just going to have to tighten your belt. Why is it always us that has to tighten our belts and sit in the dark and cancel our subscriptions? No, we worked all the way through the pandemic, all the way. People could have died in that FC delivering rubbish from China. Enough is enough. 50p doesn't cut it. I don't want his rocket. I definitely don't want his rocket. I don't want his boat. I just want a healthy looking bank balance so I can pay for my kids at Christmas, get them what they want. I'm not asking for the world. I've seen all the stuff on Twitter and stuff, the negative stuff, and being called unskilled. What's wrong with being unskilled? It's not a disease. It just means you left school earlier on and started grafting from a young age. I've climbed up the ladder in other businesses, and it's just the fact that I got caught out because I've been with Amazon now for 3 years. I just got caught out by COVID. I was doing Amazon through Christmas. I joined in the big time, and then during the time I was just getting my letter from the agency I work for. COVID kicked in, and they kept everyone on. 50p is not worth it. It's not worth it. I implore everyone that's watching this who's not a member of GMB to join the GMB either tonight or tomorrow, but get it in. We can be the next Staten Island. We can. They say they don't recognise unions. If that's the case, why are they always chasing them off the car park? They know who the union are. And it's about, we've got to fight this. We really have.
Thank you so much, George. And I have to say, this Halloween, it would be great to give Jeff Bezos a spooky present of the thing he most fears, which is a massive, massive union drive. And with that, can I hand over to a union organizer? Rachel Fagan is an organizer with the GMB union in Coventry, who have put in for the first ever strike ballot at an Amazon warehouse in Britain. Now, how's it looking, Rachel? Obviously, British situation, labor laws since Thatcher makes this a kind of tough battle, but you guys are out there doing it. How's it going?
Yeah, thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Fagan. I'm a regional organiser that works within the GMB trade union in our Midlands region. Yes, you are right that the laws in the UK mean that it's very difficult for us to organise and to actually get legal strike action. It's made as difficult as possible, but we're not going to let that deter us. We're listening to our members and what they want, and we're acting and taking them through their journey. Just a bit of background for you. The GMB's been organising in Amazon for around 10 years now. We've been working alongside our members in health and safety and working conditions. And just some of the examples of that, of issues that have happened, things like our members having to use bottles to urinate in because of the unrealistic time frames and targets that Amazon put in place that make it difficult for people to even use a restroom, and then even more serious things like electrocutions, fires. And the GMB did a piece of work actually some years back around the amount of ambulances that was called out to our fulfilment centres in the Midlands region, and Amazon was one of the highest. And actually now Amazon care more about publicity than they do about their workers, and won't even call out an ambulance. They'll ask people to drop their colleagues to A&E or get somebody to pick them up because they don't care about the workers' health and safety. So we've been there a long time supporting our members, 10 years, standing outside in every sort of weather, making sure that we're visible, joining people up and representing them, because yes, Amazon don't want to recognise unions, but if you're a member of a trade union in the UK, it's your statutory legal right to be able to be represented in any formal meeting. So we are able to go into the Amazon warehouses and we do represent our members there. So really, it was the first time that our workforce had really got angry about pay. And this is everything that's kind of balled up and led to this cost of living crisis. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. We'd been going through, periods of increased of higher cost of living for workers in the UK, and our members were waiting for Amazon to offer this new pay. It came in the summertime, in the August, and it wasn't what people were expecting. It was nowhere near it. And Amazon, were like, there's nothing more. That's what you can get in. We're not going to move with it. But actually, we are now in a situation where, because of the pressure, because of the union campaigning, the momentum, our members standing up and fighting against Amazon, that we have gone through a consultative ballot for industrial action, which is the first stage that you have to do in the UK. And that was overwhelmingly in support of taking industrial action. And we're now running the first ever UK Civica ballot for strike action in an Amazon fulfillment centre. And now we've been putting all of that pressure on. Amazon have turned around and says, oh, there's a £500 bonus now. And that's because of the work and the pressure that we've been putting onto them. And so I want to say well done to everybody that's joined the union, everybody that's sent back their ballot, everybody that stood outside and said enough's enough or shared stuff on social media. That work that you've done has resulted in this £500 bonus. But let's not be mistaken or think that Amazon are just giving it us because they are being generous. There's a hidden agenda behind this, and that's their union busting tactics. Now, this £500 bonus is split into the 2 months where we're doing our most action. So the first £250 is in October, when we're actually running the Civica ballots. That's where people can return their ballot papers and vote for strike action. And then the other 250 is actually when we're going to be taking strike action, or potentially if it goes through, and that would be the November. Now that £250 is linked directly to attendance. Now that's bribery and that's inducement. And I can announce today that the GMB trade union have instructed our solicitors to take legal action against Amazon. We believe that this is bribery and that this is inducement, and they are doing this directly to stop our members from either voting or taking strike action. And if you are a member of the GMB trade union and you're out of one of our fulfilment centres that we're running strike action from, you'll be hearing from us soon about what the next steps are. But we want you to know that we're not going to stand for this. We are going to fight. We will take Amazon and hold them to account for what they're doing, and we'll keep you updated with how that progresses. And just one reminder really for people, if you are in a distribution, in a fulfilment centre like Coventry where we're running this industrial action, if you haven't voted yet in the ballot for strike action, you've only got a small window. So after you get off this call today, find it, vote, pop it back in the post and it'll come through to us. If you haven't received it, please get through to the GMB trade union and we'll be able to get you another one sent back out. But the cut-off is this Friday, so you need to do it fast. And if you're not a member and you want to join, it's a simple Google www.gmb.org.uk/join and we can get you a ballot paper sent out. And just one more thing really is that the GMB are looking to strengthen our ties with you across the waters and in America. And so we're looking at potentially sending over some of our key contacts because we want to learn from what you've done. We want to see what's happening firsthand. We want to give us, in the UK, the best opportunities and chance to be able to turn this around. So I know I've taken my time, but I just want to say thank you to everybody as well for giving us this opportunity on this platform.
Thank you so much, Rachel. That's all amazing to hear. Now, of course, as well as workers coming together and support from unions, we've got to have lawmakers to step up and hold Jeff Bezos to account. So I'd like to hand over now to Taiwo Owusu, who is the Labour MP for Coventry Northwest, where there is an Amazon warehouse in her backyard and who's been standing with these workers. Please tell us, what's your message to constituents in your area and around the country who've been hurt by Amazon's greed?
Thank you, Corey, and thank you everybody who has joined tonight to support. My message is for everyone is that we need to fight for fairer pay and better working conditions. We've heard the stories from George and we've heard from Rachel about the working conditions in which Amazon are treating their workers. Limited access to use the restroom, not being able to have proper access to healthcare due to the fact that ambulances are not being called. And then just to top it off, the insulting offer just to increase the pay from 35p to 50p. Now, given the fact that we're in a cost of living crisis and many families are generally struggling to pay their bills, to keep the heating on, to be able to pay for food, it's important that every worker is valued appropriately and every worker is given the recognition for their work. And that's the reason why I've come out here to support GMB, who are asking for Amazon workers to be paid £15 per hour. Now, in the United Kingdom, Amazon received a tax credit of over £1 million from the UK government. And they saw their profits soar by 60% to £204 million. Now, we all know that it's common knowledge that here in the UK, Amazon has been able to build a complex tax structure which keeps the amount of tax in which they pay in this country to be the lowest that it can ever legally be. And essentially what they're doing is they're taking the British taxpayer for a ride and they are exploiting the taxpayer because they are not able to pay their employees with the right amount and with an amount that really shows their appreciation for them. As George just said, during the pandemic, we saw so many Amazon workers going out there, delivering goods and packages that we needed as a country to be able to survive. Now, given the fact that, Jeff Bezos at one time over the past year became one of the most richest men in the world, and Amazon is one of the most wealthiest companies in the world, it is not only ethically right, but it is something that he should be able to understand the importance of being able to pay his employees right. But also it's important that Amazon is able to really tackle the working conditions in which many of his employees have currently been working on. When I speak to many of the employees working in the warehouse in my constituency, they talk about a toxic working culture, a toxic management culture, leaving staff in fear, a disregard for their basic health and well-being. They talk about serious injuries happening in the warehouse and the fact that their voices are constantly being silenced by Amazon. So just as George has said, and as Rachel has said, I do want to encourage as many people as possible who have not yet joined the GMB union to join the union, but also to be part of the consultation, to vote for strike action, because that's the only way in which Amazon will listen, and that is the only way that we will get that fair pay that many employees deserve. And I just want to quickly say a quick remark that, it's been incredible to see what's been done via the Amazon Labour Union in America. And I really do hope the United Kingdom that we will be able to achieve the same recognition for our staff as well. So thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. But like I said, I just want to encourage as many people to ensure that we reach that 50% turnout needed to have an official strike. So please go out there, please vote, and please ensure that we're able to get fair pay rise for so many hardworking members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. And you heard it right there. Get out there if you are in that warehouse and do the voting so that we can go out and have an official strike. I want to remind you one more time, we've started to have questions filtering into the chat. Please don't be shy. Click that button, put your question in. You're never going to hear from bigger experts than the ones we have today. And now we're going to go all the way over to California, where Rex, an organizer at Amazon's Inland Empire and a worker, has dialed in from the morning his time. Hey there, Rex. My understanding is that y'all just earlier today announced some strike plans. So please tell us more about that. What's going on over there in California in the fight against Amazon? Rex, we might be muted there. Can you unmute? There we go.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
We hear you now.
Okay. All right. I'm just so glad to be here in solidarity with my fellow workers here in the U.S. and in the U.K. as we fight for our rights. Yes, we announced today that we're going on strike this Friday, the 14th, to protest Amazon's unfair labor practices and send them a strong message that us as Amazon workers here at KSBD and across the country and across the pond, we're not going to stand up for this, and we're going to stand up for our rights and then for what we deserve. So we've been targeted and threatened, intimidated by the Amazon consultants, who they call consultants, that are supposed to be employee relations. These are the union busters that they bring in. And so just to give you a little context, I know this is an international crowd, so I live here. I'm here in the Inland Empire, which is a region in Southern California. It's a warehousing logistics hub like no other. Amazon is the largest private employer in California. And here in the Empire, they employ more than 40,000 people here in the Inland Empire. And this company is hugely profitable. They make billions of dollars a year, but they have a disregard for the health and safety of the employees and the livelihoods of members like myself and the folks that work for Amazon. They have the resources and power to improve the quality of life of people, to make them profitable, but they choose to spend their money on consultants. These they spend a lot of money on these high-paid consultants, and these are the union busters that come in. That's why we organized to improve our jobs. But this is how Amazon responded. They brought in these high-paid consultants who harass us. They follow us around in an attempt to interfere with our rights. They ignore our concerns about working in the high heat. I work outside on the tarmac, but inside where they the sort building. They work in these metal trailers, moving boxes. It's really hot in there. Um, we have to demand heat breaks. We have to demand and monitor the temperature ourselves because the temperature that they're portraying and putting on the monitors is not correct. Where they monitor the temperature is right next to air conditioning ducts, so they're not going to get the correct temperature reading. So we monitor the temperature ourselves. Same thing outside on the tarmac. Um, they send these safety folks out here to measure the temperature, but they're taking the temperature in the shade. So that's not giving a true reading of what the temperature actually is and what your body is actually feeling. So we took our concerns to management, and a delegation of us, and there was about 50 of us, took our concerns to management and demanded that they do something about our heat. They need to give us cooling breaks. They don't know our bodies. Each person's body reflects the heat differently, and so they don't know our bodies. And there's a law in California that once it gets to a certain temperature, they are required to give us 10-minute heat breaks, and they wasn't doing that until we brought it to their attention. Also, 2 weeks ago, while the gas prices went through the roof, rent, housing, everything is just rising. Food, everything is just rising. And Amazon offered us a dollar raise. So to protest this shameful response, this Friday, we're going to go on strike to in response to for a better working environment, a safe working environment, fair wages, and unfair labor practices with no retaliation. So we're the Inland Empire Workers Union. We're strong. We're united. This will be our second walkout. In June, we spoke up about the low pay and our inability to make ends meet, especially as the cost of living skyrockets. Our first walkout was in August. Amazon ignored our demands. More than 800 workers walked out in August, calling for a $5 pay increase. In August and September, we confronted them about keeping us safe during the intense heat because in September we had a incredible heat wave in September, and for us we're not paid enough to work in this type of heat. So we took that to them, and once again they ignored us. So on Friday we are going on strike for unfair labor practices. So we stand in solidarity with our UK Amazon brothers and sisters, and also with our brothers and sisters across the country. Because as you vote for your strike over there, we have your back, and we will fight with you until we get the dignity and the respect that we deserve on our job.
Thank you so much, Rex. That was absolutely amazing to hear. And it is so exciting to hear people popping up all over the US and the UK. And indeed, I saw on Twitter people in Germany doing the same thing, walking out and striking. People are standing up to Bezos, and it really is amazing to see these union drives. Now, last but definitely not least, Senator Bernie Sanders was kind enough to send us a recorded message about what we're doing and in solidarity with all of you. So the producer will just put it on now. Please take it away, Bernie.
Let me express international solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the UK who are taking on the second wealthiest guy in the world and fighting for decent wages and benefits and a union. I don't have to tell you whether it's in the UK or the United States or virtually any place else in the world. We're looking at a global economy where the people on top are doing phenomenally well, while working people are falling further and further behind. The only way that workers get justice on the job is when they stand together. You can't do it by yourself. You can't negotiate with Jeff Bezos. He's much too powerful. But you can negotiate when you have a union. So I wish you all the best of luck in your struggles, and understand that what you are doing in the UK is important to us all. So thank you. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
And you heard it right there from Senator Bernie Sanders. That's great. That's all our speakers, everybody. And now we're going to get to your questions. The first one that we've got is actually for you there, Derek. It says, you've said before, people said you were crazy to want to unionize Amazon. If you could go way back, I know, it's looking different now, but if you could go way back to the very first day of that battle, what would be the single piece of advice you would give yourself then?
I would just the advice I would have is just to stay resilient. It takes a lot to to defeat Amazon, and to also empower workers, to join unions and educate them. It's a lot to do. So I would just tell myself to stay resilient and keep going. Because the result of that right now, us winning. Also in Albany, there's an election starting actually tomorrow. Also in ONC8, they just filed their petition for an election. So, if we keep going, we'll be able to defeat Amazon, and ultimately the workers overpower, the billionaires like Jeff Bezos. So we just have to keep going and stay resilient, and most importantly, organize.
Thank you. And this one's for the GMB members and organizers. It says, I recently joined GMB, but we've only got a little bit of presence in our office. What are the next steps for people if they want to get representation? What do they do?
If people want to get representation and they want to get more involved and help us to organise, then they just need to get in contact with their local GMB office. So if they have recently joined the union, they'll have received a membership card, and on the back of that will be the telephone number for their local office. So give us a call. They'll put you in contact with an organiser like myself. That it'll either be me if it's for the Midlands region, or somebody else if you're in one of our other regions, and they'll be able to get in contact with you and talk you through the steps that you'll need to take and support you through that process of getting organised.
Thank you. We've got one for Taiwo as well here. So it basically says, while unions like GME are fighting with Amazon warehouses, lawmakers are the ones who've got the power to make Amazon to treat people better and make warehouses safer. What more would you like to see MPs be doing to support workers at Amazon?
That's a great question, because we're currently in a situation in the United Kingdom where the Conservative Party are trying to turn the UK into a tax haven, and they're trying to really push trickle-down economics, and they are restricting workers' rights. So within the Labour Party, within our manifesto, we have actually created a new deal for working people, in which workers' rights will be protected, and in which unions and trade unions will be better strengthened so people can have really good working conditions. And we will not allow the current working conditions in which Amazon are making their staff go through be legal. So I can definitely say within the Labour Party we are fighting. And I want to encourage as many people as possible as well to get in contact with the MP and to put the pressure up and down the country and to ask them to take a stance against this. I'm currently in the process of getting a debate in Parliament to encourage as many of your MPs to attend and to sign the petitions so that we can have a united voice against Amazon.
Thank you so much. And we've had one in. I wonder if, George, you want to answer this, or somebody else from the UK. It basically says, could the speaker say something about how those of us who are outside, who are not, who are not working in, can best support the union drive within Amazon? So supporters, like if you don't work at Amazon, then how can you support?
So there's lots of ways. You're going.
No, go on, Rachel.
I was just going to say that there's lots of ways for us to be able to support people that are on the outside. So, for instance, if you're somebody but you want to support, you could sign a petition that is currently running. If you go onto the GMB's website, you can keep up to date with their campaigns that are running there, and you can sign petitions to lobby your local MP to get more involved and get them to engage in the conversation so that the MPs can make the changes that they need to.
And over to you, George. Anything you would add to that, or does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. But I was thinking the other day, wouldn't it be great because obviously we all know that there's a lot of bad feeling towards Amazon. Wouldn't it be great if for just 1 week during peak, nobody bought anything off Amazon and everybody let Jeff Bezos know that people still have the power? He's got the money, but he can't break everyone. So if everyone just for 1 week during peak time bought nothing, how great would that be?
There's also another way that people can help and support, and that's financially. So as soon as we get the mandate to be able to take strike action, we will open up a strike fund, and that will be where people can pledge, even if it's £1, if everybody donates £1, it will be able to help and support our members to be able to fight against Amazon and not starve them back to work. So there's another way that people can support us with that strike fund. And again, when we get past that point, go onto the GMB's website, and there'll be more information about how people can help financially support our members strike against Amazon.
Thank you. And one for maybe Rex or Derek. So you heard in this chat that Amazon have just announced a plan to kind of try and bribe workers not to strike before Christmas by cutting them a check, basically not to take an unauthorized absence. How does that sound to you guys? Have they pulled any similar kind of tricks like that in the Inland Empire or in the US, just cutting people random checks not to walk out? Or does that sound odd?
Well, they
That's
No, go ahead, Rex. You go.
oh, I'm sorry. That sounds odd. They haven't done anything like that yet, but we'll see once we get closer to Black Friday.
What about you, Derek?
Well, I hate to even say this, but recently they just announced a raise of 25 cents for all workers at JFK in Staten Island. So I mean, I don't know if that's their way of bribing, but if that is their plan, then it's a very weak plan. So it didn't do anything but rally up workers to join the ALU. And I don't know if you heard about last week, we actually held a sit down protest inside of the warehouse and a march on the boss. So I mean, if that's their way of doing it, then continue giving out 25-cent raises is just going to empower them to get more involved with ALU.
Completely. And the reality is, with the wage offers over here, 35p is a cut with inflation. 50p is a cut with inflation. These are not pay offers that are enough for people to keep pace, to heat their homes, to make their bills. That's why you saw spontaneously all these hundreds of workers walking out. So thank you very much for that. So let's see here if we have some more questions. So another one has to do with some the comments that we heard from some of the managers during some of those walkouts, actually. So maybe one for George there. So somebody saying, I saw a video on TikTok during the walkouts of a manager threatening to dock pay for protesting. Another one kind of comparing workers to animals. What did you think? Would you heard about that? And did it, dampen your efforts to organize or just make you more determined?
More determined. The animals one, he did apologise and said it was taken out of context. But to be honest with you, it must have been on the back of his mind. It must have been there. He must have been thinking it. Because if people are making a lot of noise, you say, like, can you be quiet and let me speak? Not that you're behaving like animals. That was just shocking. I did actually I did actually send a message to FC and told them that perhaps they should have put a grievance in for using the wrong pronoun. But yeah, we had certain threats as well. Obviously, not being able to use TikTok and stuff. And the animals one was just a disgrace. It was just a disgrace.
Definitely. And I think the other thing I would say just from Foxglove's perspective is we are looking actively to take legal action against Amazon for the way that it squeezes workers. So workers tell us, for example, that sometimes they can't even see their targets and that they certainly can't move safely and avoid injury while keeping pace with Amazon's insane algorithmic targets. So if you are concerned about that, if you're in the UK, then please, our contact details should be there in the chat and on the live stream. You can speak to us anonymously. Of course, talk to the GMB and organize, but we're actively looking to scope legal action. So that's another thing that you can do. Now, we've had another question about international solidarity of the kind that we tried to do today. So Rachel, from the GMB's perspective, obviously, we've just had this kind of international solidarity action. You're on a platform today with the ALU. Are we going to see more of this kind of thing as the fight builds steam? And what kind of things would you like to see going on in the future, kind of internationally?
Yeah, definitely. I think, being able to be on a platform like today and being able to share our stories of solidarity and for people to be able to link and speak together can only make us stronger in our fight against Amazon. And I would like to see more fulfillment centres across the countries, standing up and taking action against Amazon and fighting for their rights, whether it's health and safety, working conditions, whether it's pay. We've had some examples that we've given today about health and safety problems where Amazon are more bothered about what their image is in the press and their public relations than what they are about their workers and the health and safety of their workers. So I want to see more of this. I want to see more contacts and people in the UK coming forward, wanting to get involved with the GMB trade union, wanting to help out. If you want what we've got in Coventry and some of our other sites, or if you want union recognition like they've got now in the States, this can be achieved. We are going to achieve it. Our membership is growing. Our members are telling us what they want and we're going to fight for them. We only do what our members want, and our members have given us the mandate to be able to take action against Amazon, and we're going to hold them to account. So if you want to get more involved and active, please come forward to the GMB Trade Union. We will support you. Officers like myself that are skilled in being able to organise workers will be able to talk you and take you through that process. You won't be on your own, and we'll put every effort in to getting you over the line.
And one more time for us, the facts. When does the ballot end? How long have they got to get their vote in?
So if anybody's missing their ballot paper, they've got to let us know by Friday morning in order for us to get them a fresh one out. Likewise, if somebody wants to join the union so they can receive a vote, they need to do that as well on Friday. The cut-off is the 19th, so they've got until next Wednesday to return their vote, but it has to land at Civica on the 19th. So I would say to you, if you want to vote and you want your vote to be counted, you've got to do it before Friday.
Thank you. And then maybe one here for Derek. Do you or anybody else find it hard to explain how important it is to be part of a union to other associates at Amazon? Because I meet a lot of people, the commenter says, who aren't happy with conditions. They're not happy with pay. They're really not happy, but they're afraid to speak up and they're afraid to join a union because they're afraid they're going to get fired, basically. So what would you say to somebody who's trying to convince somebody?
Yeah, I mean, you really just have to, educate them. Going on the NLRB website, is where I just got the basic information about unions. Because prior to me joining the ALU, creating the ALU, I had no idea what a union was. I just knew that they pretty much protected workers, but I didn't know everything. So, just getting that knowledge from someone who has that knowledge is key, and whatever knowledge that I was able to learn, I was able to pass that off to all workers at my facility. And, it's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you and say that it is, but you just have to, not agitate, but know when to be aggressive, when to fall back. Because eventually Amazon's going to slip up and they're going to continue to treat workers bad. And then once you understand the issue that the worker has that they want to fix, that's when you relate it back to, how a union can help to make that change. And ultimately just inspiring other workers to get involved. It is an uphill battle, but it is playing in our favor, right now as we speak in JFK 8, and also other facilities around the world. So workers are slowly but surely getting more involved, and we're actually holding national calls for any other facility in the United States that wants to get involved with the ALU, and we have training classes set up for them just so they can learn how to organize. So if whoever made that comment, if they want to get involved, we can you can hit me up on an email at amazonlaborunion.org, and then we can talk about the steps forward to getting involved, the ALU, and ultimately organizing your workspace, because this is going to be a global movement soon, and the steps that we're taking right now is going to affect our future, and not just for the future of Amazon workers, but the entire labor movement in general, because Amazon is $1 billion corporation. So we just got to get there. You got to get down, organize, and we'll get the job done for sure.
Thank you. And I think we've got time just for one more. So I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question, but, fire them in by email. This is one who wants to kind of promote materials. So they say, how possible would it be for us in the UK to put up our own banners and posters and maybe hand out ALU or other union t-shirts to promote unity and the good work unions do? Because obviously it's Prime Day happening today, and they're sure Amazon's going to hand out some kind of badge or trinket or t-shirt to say thanks for breaking your backs for another massive profit for us. So what do we think in the UK?
Yeah, again, come forward, let us know. We can get you literature, we can provide you with whatever you want and need, whether it's stickers, because we know that Amazon like to advertise everything on the back of a toilet door. So if you want to start to stick stickers on the back of that toilet door, if you want to take flyers in, what I will say is they make it as difficult as possible for people to get things inside. So sometimes it's about being creative with how you spread that message and using the technologies. There's a lot of fulfillment centres that have WhatsApp groups, that have other kinds of communication networks, that have Facebook groups where you can spread the message. So if you're somebody, again, inside a fulfillment centre in the UK, or in America, that want to get involved, then hit the GMB trade union up or hit the ALU up, and we can get you more information and get you involved.
Thank you so much, Rachel. All right, folks, that is it. You have heard it loud and clear from the leading lights of the movement to beat Amazon and organize these workforces. We can do it if we stand together. Join a union, vote in your ballots. If it's a strike ballot or a union ballot, do not sleep on it. And you heard what people are demanding. We're demanding that Jeff Bezos pay his people properly. That's at least 15 quid in the UK. It's more in the United States. That he scrap these unfair targets that risk people's health, make people sick, risk their lives, and that he back off of workers and respect their God-given right to organize. So do it. Join a union like ALU or GMB, wherever you are. We've given you information about how you get in touch with the GMB. And remember, we at Foxglove are looking to take Jeff Bezos to court for this target squeeze that is making life miserable. So do drop us a line on Signal, which is in the chat, or at info@foxglove.org.uk to talk in confidence. These are your rights, so don't sit on them. Now, please, all of you, get out there and have a beautiful day.